what district I'm in.
5:30.
Yeah, District 4. Even though I'm in the county, that's still,
Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Let's see, we'll start out with roll call. Vicky?
Commissioner Elliott,
Here.
Commissioner Burns,
Here.
Commissioner Paula,
Here.
Commissioner Madrid,
Here.
Joyce Gates,
here,
Lisa Pellegrino Spear,
Here.
Jamal Williams,
Here.
Gilbert Salguero,
Here.
Clyde Davis, and Thomas Martin.
Did you wait for me to put me at the end? Thank you. Here.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of December the 13th, 2021. Any questions, any additions, any problems with the minutes?
Nope, I'll move for approval.
Do I have a second?
second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? Okay, passed. Next, we have presentation and discussion regarding SCA role players. Shannon Hoffman.
I received a email from her. She's showing symptoms, home, quarantine, that sort of thing. So she won't, Shannon won't be able to be here. Just to give you some background on what's going on, I was approached a couple months ago by a gentleman that they're wanting to do the SCA, which is a Society for Creative Anachronisms, which sounds better if Claire says it. Basically, it's the people that are inhabiting our fort out at Ned Houck. Swords and Sorcery, Dungeons, Dragons, whichever way you want to kind of look at it. They'd originally talked about wanting to reserve the park, all of Ned Houck, for a large event. I think that event has fallen through, but Shannon contacted me to follow up, and they're wanting to do an event out there. Somewhere in the 200 to 300 people range is what they think that's how many participants. They'd also talked about either reserving the park, which I told them we don't just reserve a whole park, but we might be able to partition off part of it to do an event. So that's kind of the background on it. I don't have enough information from her yet, since she was wanting to come speak, to give you all the particulars. I don't know if they were going to request overnight camping or not. The large group was, which I think the large group is going to come back around next year and try to do something in the middle of next summer. They just kind of missed their window of opportunity. To where Shannon's group wanted us to do a spring and a fall. So kind of just a heads up more than anything, I think, is what we're trying to give you at this time. They haven't made any specific requests for overnight camping. I've informed them that there's no alcohol, but that overnight camping would have to go through commission with obviously some of y'all's blessing or approval, as the case may be. So I don't know what questions I can answer, but I'll be glad to give it a shot.
Thank you, Russell. Any questions, anybody? Well, there's no action on this.
Chairman, what exactly do they do, Russell? Do you know?
Medieval swords.
Medieval.
Justin probably has more familiarity with this if he would like to answer that.
Part of the group.
I don't know if I have more familiarity with it or not. It's mainly like historic role playing, and so medieval times. And so if you can picture what that may look like, and so that's what they do. I mean, it's as if they're probably have tents set up. You may have a horseshoer, or you may have a blacksmith. I mean, so it's basically role playing. Knights, peasants. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've seen that area out there where the little fort is at or something, and I never knew exactly what they done.
That's what the purpose of it is.
Is it active out there often or not?
Not that I'm aware of, but
Yeah.
they do have an organization, and I don't know if they have to be honest with you, from a user agreement standpoint, they have not been very active.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have anything to add, Mrs. Burrows, since you're from a night country? Anyway, okay. Presentation discussion regarding pickleball locations. Scott Shuman?
the stand-in. Like I said, my name's Kelly Marshall. I'm the US APA ambassador for Clovis, which basically means I'm part of the US Pickleball Association, and I play pickleball like a lot of other people in our city. And do y'all know what pickleball is? Kind of? So, we have a paddle and a ball, and we kind of almost play tennis on a court the size of a badminton court. It is the fastest growing sport in the United States and the world, and it's lovely because you could have an 8-year-old, an 18-year-old, a pregnant woman, and an 80-year-old all on the court, all playing, all having fun, and all getting great exercise. And we also have some many medalists in the Senior Olympics at the state level from Clovis. Jerry Lou France and Floyd Steinley, I think, have 3 gold medals, actually, from the state Senior Olympics competition. I have some medals. Some of those folks over there have some medals. Anyway, so that's kind of what pickleball is. We are very desperate for a place to play in Clovis. Right now we play at Roy Walker, but that's not always a good mix because it's one of the few places that our kids can congregate to play basketball, and basketball and pickleball at the same time in the same gym is not a good mix. But we have some suggestions, proposals for y'all to take a look at. Our first proposal is to build new courts at the Hillcrest Park as outlined in the City Parks Plan from 2015. It was a good plan then, it's a good plan now. If you scroll up just a little bit, so it would take total reconstruction, but our proposal is that we would have a permanent tennis court, 2 non-permanent pickleball courts, and a dedicated basketball court. So how the pickleball courts would work, there's a permanent net for the tennis court, but many of us have our own portable pickleball nets, and so we would set those nets up when we would go play pickleball, and then we would pick them up. So whenever anybody wanted to play tennis, there would be no interference from having a pickleball court lined there. Our second proposal is at Green Acres Park. The concrete there is actually in really great shape. No major cracks or upheavals. It would need resurfacing. And it's pretty budget friendly since it's not brand new construction. And the same thing there, we would have a tennis court, 2 pickleball courts, and a basketball court. And our third proposal is to paint lines on an existing Clovis High School tennis court. And we understand that we could not use the tennis court during school hours because it's a school, we get that. But right now, we don't have anywhere to play on Saturdays and Sundays or in the evenings, so that would be helpful. We would also put together some of our senior Olympians to help get a pickleball club started at the high school level. Some of us are already working with some folks at the I Academy and Yucca Middle School to engage students in this sport. And I think it's a great way to bring the generations in our community together to do something fun and healthy. And so it's a great idea to go to the high school, and we would be happy to sponsor a club there for the students. And our fourth proposal is to just get permission to put corners on the existing tennis courts at Clovis High School. So what we would do in that instance when we play, we would take temporary tape and tape the court, set up our net, play, and then we would pull the tape off. So you wouldn't know we were there, and we would definitely use tape that was the right kind of tape to not hurt the court surface. So those are our 4 proposals. And so Scott Schumann reached out to Senator Heinrich's office I'm sure you guys have already seen all this information. So what we're wondering is, has the city applied for any of these, and what can we do as pickleball residents of the community to kind of help get things rolling? Because really, we love to play pickleball, and we want other people in our community to have that opportunity. It's a great exercise, and you don't have to be this stellar athlete to play it. But if you want to go that direction and become an incredible athlete in it, you can. So that's my presentation.
Thank you, thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yes.
I was gonna say, the schools, you're gonna have to talk to the schools about doing it at the schools, because we don't have any control over the schools.
Okay.
Okay, but Green Acres and all that stuff, we can work with that. And, I thought, go ahead, Claire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board and the Pickleball Group. Good evening. I received the email from Diane Ventura, who's a field representative with Senator Heinrich's office, and as did Mayor Morris. The grant funding sources that she suggested, they wouldn't work for what we're looking at. But we have been looking at other potential grants, and there is a pickleball grant that Next 50 Initiative has, and they have funded pickleball courts in the past, and so organizations like the City of Clovis can certainly apply for that, and it's up to $150,000 maybe awarded. The application opens in February of 2022, which is of course coming up, and will be open throughout the year until the funds are expended. So we can certainly go ahead and apply for that if that's the pleasure of the Parks Board and the City Commission. Of course, there's other funding, the USA Pickleball Grant Program, which is a community grant program, which provides current USA Pickleball members maximum of $250 reimbursement for purchasing equipment to start up a location. I don't know if that's something that you guys have already done or looked at. The city couldn't apply for that.
We haven't done that yet.
Okay, the city couldn't apply for that, but you certainly could. So I would be more than happy to do whatever you guys would like me to do.
Okay, I think we should go ahead and apply for it, but do you have something to
How
go with?
strong are y'all in numbers?
How strong are we in
is
numbers?
the association?
We probably have 24 active players right now. When there's no school, we have kids who come play with us, students come play with us, so the number would be bigger.
Chairman, I have a comment. I'm an avid tennis player, and so I know pickleball is up my alley next. It doesn't surprise me at all that Jerry Lou Franz has medals in this, because she can still kick my tail on a tennis court. You've got my full support on this one. I know that this is something that there have been many groups that have been asking. I think at one of the city commission meetings, we had some active duty Air Force, that came in and asked for this. So I would love to see and I love that you brought proposals with you. That makes it easier to see what you guys are wanting, and I love the idea of Green Acres or Hillcrest, however we can make it work. And I would prefer to see pickleball courts and tennis courts, because the city doesn't have any tennis courts either. So I would love to see that, rather than you guys having to have temporary tape and remove it, and let's get some pickleball courts.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board, Commissioner Paula, we could look at of course, the Hillcrest Parks Master Plan location would be the optimal location, so we could investigate and see what it would cost to do that, and see if it would be within the parameters of the grant, if you would like for us to try there first. Yeah. Well, we can certainly, we have previously asked Griegos for a cost to resurface at Green Acres, and I think it was about $20,000, but we can look at all of those locations.
Okay.
I was just going to suggest that. Thank you, Claire. I think that'd be great.
You should have talked to Tom. He should have talked to Tom Martin. He's been advocating these pickle courts for a long time.
Question for temporary option. I don't know if there is a volleyball court that is cement on the corner of, over by the YRB. There's no net, but would that be the size of a pickleball court? That's in better shape than any concrete we got.
It depends on the size. It's got to be at least,
And I'm not saying for something permanent, but for something temporary, that might be an option. If you want to shoot me an email or something, and we could possibly go look at it at any point in time.
oh, that'd be great. Okay. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So what's the pleasure of the, go ahead.
Kelly,
Yes.
it looks like on your explanation of the courts there, a tennis court, you can put 2 pickleball courts in there, is that what you can do?
Yes, that is correct. Yes.
That sounds really, really good.
I saw a presentation not too long ago. Theoretically, you could squeeze 4.
You could
but it'd
squeeze
be a
4.
Squeeze.
Really?
It is, but it's a pretty tight fit.
Yes.
Wow.
So can you, if we do a tennis court also, we can have a regular tennis net that is permanent?
That's right.
And then, okay.
That's right. And then we would use portable nets when we would set up for pickleball. So it'd be a dual purpose
Okay.
place. Yes.
That's a real good idea.
Thank you. So what's
Chairman,
the pleasure of the committee?
I do have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
My dad is a pickleball fan, and I do
Quite
remember
the player,
him.
too.
Stop. Community college. I think at one point there was the tennis courts out there were used. Are they still being used, or is there?
They're not being used. Yes.
You need to come to the podium, Donna, so the viewing public can see you.
My name is Melinda Coslet. We got permission from the college to go out and tape pickleball courts out there, oh gosh, 5 or 6 years ago. We spent all day one day taping them, came back, and the tape had all been removed because somebody didn't want us playing pickleball on the tennis courts. I'm not gonna go into any more details than that, but so we've not gone back out there because, it was a lot of hard work measuring and getting it all laid down, and we had permission from the college to do it. But it just, for whatever reason, it got ripped up, so.
Okay. And then within your proposal, you had the 4 bids. The first one was the most expensive, but did you have an estimated cost on, or is it just, we know it's the most expensive because it's going to be the most expensive, but any numbers?
I don't have any numbers.
Okay. And that one, the only, and when I look at Green Acres, it's great. We're using the space, but you could only have a basketball game or a tennis game or a pickleball game going, where the Hillcrest option, at least, there's a little bit more room. You could have a basketball game going simultaneously
Right.
with, okay. But you said resurfacing 20,000?
Yes, for Green Acres. I think that's what it was about a year or 2 ago, but of course everything's changed.
True. And then how much was the grant up to? 150?
150,000, so we could get, some cost
So we could do
So
Hillcrest and
Hillcrest.
Green Acres?
potentially. I
That
mean,
would
we'll
be-
have it,
I mean-
we'll find out.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to say something real quick, Chairman. I think that it's in our best interest if Claire found this grant for us to move forward in that perspective. And, I think then at some point are we waiting for movement on this? Do we need to have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, it's not an action item. It's just
Okay.
presentation and discussion only. But we can move forward based off of the conversation.
I think, February's next month. I'm guessing pickleball is probably more of a seasonal activity, which is probably, your summer time frame and fall. In spring, I'm guessing you guys probably don't play a ton during the winter. So right now, if maybe you could meet with the schools and see if there's a temporary for when you guys are wanting to do it, when we do have good weather in the winter, and move forward with this grant. And hopefully by, the time we find out about this grant, maybe there could be something that is able to be put in place and bring for an action item once we know if we were awarded the grant to move forward with the installation at one or both locations of Hillcrest or Green Acres.
May I say something?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
Thank
we
you,
play
Lisa.
all year round. As long as it's at least 40 to 45 degrees, we play. And the reason we do that is because we're training to play in tournaments. And our goal eventually is to have tournaments here and maybe generate some funds for our own city. But we play all year round, just to clarify.
And they do take advantage of Roy Walker as well.
Yes,
I
we
know
do.
it's not an ideal situation, but they do utilize one of our gyms, to 2 or 3 courts that they, 3 courts? Yeah,
Yes,
that
we
they
have
utilize.
We have 3 courts taped there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Sounds good.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll pursue those grants, see what we can come up with. Okay, updates on parks projects. Russell Hooper, Guy Leader Light Pole.
Yes. Commissioner, just some updates. Y'all know in one of the recent windstorms about a month and a half ago, we had one of the light poles out of Guy Leader blow over. I've gotten an estimate on that. This is more just information. It was, which we've already started the ordering process on, but it just came in just over $20,000 for the light pole. That's going to replace with a wooden light pole. They don't have the same lights that they had because they don't make them anymore. So that pole is going to be LED. We're going to get as close as we can to matching the existing lights that's there. On a continuing topic, Beecham lights have been now all installed. I got the operating instructions for them, so I'll have to do some stuff get with Jamal and make sure they get password permissions. It is a neat system. It'd be nice to go out there one day and turn the lights on for y'all, but obviously we got to do that at night. It doesn't do much good otherwise, and it's a little cold right now. So, but we may have to schedule something if any of y'all ever want to see those. The company that installed them and we bought them for, they gave me a quote just for people's information for Guy Leader. It's going to come out to about $350 if you want to do all of Guy Leader, not including the install. That's just for the equipment. Just something for y'all to keep in the back of your heads and things like that. If we get grant opportunities, we're always going to shoot for stuff, but just things along those lines. We had some thefts that went along. Some people went out and stole some bleachers. Actually, the seats and the treads, all the aluminum parts, from a couple bleachers out at Ned Houck and a couple bleachers at Lockwood. Best guess, we know who they were because they had to show their license when they sold them. They cut the bleacher seats in half and sold them to the company, and I think they got around $500 total for 4 trips to the scrapyard. The quote I got on that's going to be just under $25,000 to replace. Now, that may not be the exact ones we replace them with, and then we may have some already that we can take out. But just, that's, a waste of some good money. We had some meetings last year. We went out to Potter Pool and looked at that. I've gotten one quote for resurfacing. Basically, the quotes for resurfacing came out, depending if we replace it with a plaster, then there's a better plaster, I guess it'd be. And then there's another covering, inner glass replastering. Cost is between $75 and $125 on those. Again, just something that we're going to have to start looking at doing if we want to upgrade that pool. Just to keep y'all in the back of the head. I've also looked, let me hand this so I can pass it around real quick.
While you're passing that around, can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Would the Guy Leader pole and the bleacher thefts, would that be covered under the city's insurance?
Yes, both of those we have filed on. I think the problem we have is $10,000 deductible.
Of course.
Yeah, so, which covers half of it, which is great. I mean, it's better than nothing, obviously. So yeah, but we have filed on those, and the police are actively pursuing the bleachers. But no, I looked at like climbing wall that I passed around. I don't know if anyone's familiar at all with like a pool climbing wall. It's basically a rock wall. It goes up from the side of the pool. If you fall, you drop in the water. It's kind of a neat thing. Just something to put it like a Potter. Problem is, they're gonna run about 20 grand. So it's one of those things, again, if we're looking to improve and stuff like that and bring more people out, we're gonna have to look at doing some things other than just having water, I guess. We have done a lot of work. We've worked on the repainting the locker rooms out at Potter. Cleaned out a lot of the black we've gotten rid of, but still we're having problems with plaster. So we're gonna have to look at that. So, let's see, the Roy Walker bleachers, we got a one-time approval for the bleachers inside Roy Walker to make them automatic. I've gotten two quotes on it. The one that, excuse me, came out 59,000 was, we're still working on seeing if we can use them as a contractor since it's such a large amount and what type of co-op they have. And then there's a second one also if we need to use them. So that is making progress. I'll kind of keep y'all updated as we go. Dennis Chavez, the playground, all the stuff's in. They should have the border in. They'll be coming back fairly soon to put in the material, the mulch, I guess. It's a rubber mulch in the bottom. So that should be happening soon. And I would like to schedule a ribbon cutting once I know some dates so we can get some people out there and make speeches, play. We need to be able, the first ones to test drive that new playground, so.
I've got some questions. At Hillcrest, there's quite a few lights out. Is that something that's on a regular schedule to be checked or?
It is. Some of those lights are power companies and some of them are ours. We have reported some of them like around the Aquatic Center parking lot. Then there's a couple others through the park, excuse me, that we have reported. We're just waiting on them to fix.
The ones I specifically noticed were on the west side where the old parking area for the zoo was, the previous.
Just had not noticed those. I guess I haven't gone by at night, so I will look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? I had a call on some handicap swings for wheelchairs. Have we ever looked into that? I know we had a question about it a long time ago, but.
Could you repeat? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Handicap swings for wheelchairs.
They do have that available. It's normally like say on a new playground or new something, all inclusive playground equipment they call it. We don't have any, and I don't know. We could set. I mean, I guess it's a cost, obviously. I have not looked into it to find out what one would cost us.
Okay.
And then I don't know if we could add it to something existing or we would have to create a playground for that.
Okay, thank you. Can you look into it?
I
Look
have
into it.
Yes,
I
sir.
have seen them where they hang on the existing swing, poles that are out there.
And we would just have to be able to make sure it's accessible. And so getting from to that particular play area, and right now mostly we have a lot of mulch underneath and sand underneath our playground equipment from a fall hazard standpoint. And so we would have to look at being able to either replace that or get the proper material in there that would be traversable by a wheelchair. But is it something that we have planned within the new playground equipment at Dennis Chavez?
No,
Is that a feature?
not within Dennis Chavez, although it may be,
Okay.
say, further along.
And then we also have additional capital outlay funding for the new playgrounds, and so that's something we could a feature that we could look at adding to that particular playgrounds.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have a comment.
go ahead.
I received an email today regarding the skate park, and if we can do some improvements there. Does that fall under? Go ahead. Looks like you've got some more information than I do.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board, Commissioner Parler, the skateboard is something we've been working on for a couple of years now, I would say. Of course, various pieces of facets of the skateboard park have been stolen. As you are probably aware, the city put the skateboard park in several years ago. So it costs, we can apply for grant funding, and we are looking to do that. Things like Tony Hawk has grant funding and others. but we have to have a design first, and the cost of the design is about $15,000 to complete a design before we can apply for grant funding. So that's something we need to identify some funds for to do the design piece.
And to add on to that, a lot of the companies that we talk to that do design of skate parks, they also want to build them. So it's a design build concept. And so as part of that process and looking for that grant funding, trying to find those opportunities to where you could potentially do a design build. And then it'd be from a procurement standpoint, making sure whatever company that may be, that it falls within the procurement standards of the state of New Mexico. And whether or not we can use certain co-op agreements if they're listed on there, or if we would have to go out for an RFP to get a design build type contract.
I guess it's just a little maddening to me listening, this is off this topic, but all the stuff that has been stolen in this city would have fixed a swimming pool or built a pickleball court, or I guess I'm just at a loss for words at the theft.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board, Commissioner Parler, yes, it is extremely frustrating when we spend a lot of time and public money to build nice things for the community just to have this happen.
Can I interject? I was watching something the other day that I think Apple makes a little token. They're trackable now. I mean, I know it's another investment, but if it's something that we start to look at, if theft, if we continue, if this is the trend and has been the trend, if we do anything on new equipment going forward, where, I mean, I don't know what, if tokens $10 or $25, and then they're like cell phone. When you lose your cell phone, it's trackable.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, members of the Park Board, Mr. Martin, what is happening is people are stealing the bleachers and are taking them to Ed's Recycling and so on, of course, and then selling it. Of course, they have damaged the bleachers beyond the parts of the bleachers that they're stolen beyond repair at that point. But we know you can find out who's taken them. So it's not a question of identifying who's stolen it, because they're selling it for money, for other things.
In regards to the skate park, it's something that as we visit with these companies, there's lots of ways to design a skate park. A lot of them are concrete, and so it's real hard to steal concrete, and it doesn't have much value at the scrapyard. And so it's definitely something that we could look at as we potentially redesign what a skate park could look like. And then there's other, how we secure bleachers is something that maybe we could take a look at too. If we're not intending to move them around, we can more permanently put them down. But if they're cutting them, I mean, you can cut the base of something and steal it.
And this is a challenge too that Parks has faced in the bathrooms. Of course, we've been discussing that with restrooms with this committee about a year ago now almost. People stealing things from the restrooms.
What I can't understand is when they steal from the city is that the taxpayers have to pay for it. You're stealing from yourself when you do that. So I just can't see it. But that's life, I guess.
Chairman?
Okay. Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
Just wanted to ask Russell one question. Do you feel like we're having a surge of more vandalism and theft, or is it something that's just a reoccurring occurrence annually that we kind of run into these problems? And then also Thomas Martin's comment, would it be kind of like a key fob system? Is that what he's thinking, like a lock, like a gating the areas and doing a key fob system? Those are my two comments.
To answer your question on the first one, I don't think we're having necessarily an upsurge. I think this is cyclical. You have ups and downs. You hate to say, is that during spring break of school or summer break, or did we have some nice nights one week and so that they went out and see what they could find? I think that's more of it rather than upsurge. As far as, and I know we're showing it on the locators basically. It's like on the bleachers. Well, they cut the tops off of them. So, would it have worked? Also, we are permanently installing a lot of these things. On the skate park, we bolt it down, then knock the bolts so they can't even unscrew them. And they're coming out there with a little grinder and chopping them off. So, I mean, we're doing our best to secure them, but how do you can't prevent everything. And so at what point have they now stolen your locator along with your parts?
Yeah, I just didn't know if they were triggered based off movement. A skate park's not going to move. Do you get to them before? Because I mean, I would think like with the bleachers, you're probably not going to know what happens until somebody reports it, and it could be a day or a week But if it's based on a skate ramp moving, and then do you get to it before they cut it up? I mean, it was just a thought, and man, it is. Yeah, but
Just something to look into.
it's not right. It's not fun. It's not fun to hear about or see, and the negativity that it brings to the people who use it. And
When we had the bronze pieces from the Martin Luther King plaques, they were stolen and taken to Ed's Recycling. They were defaced, of course, at that point, but we are contacted. I mean, Ed's, we have close contacts with them about what's going on. They're helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
Lisa, did that make? So it's just like a little tracker. Like my dad loses his keys all the time. He's got a tracker on his keys. At least he's smart, At least he's got the trackers now.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And if we build the new skateboard area with concrete rather than, like Justin said, I mean, that would be the solution to that particular piece.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, and then graffiti eradication, of course, graffiti has been another issue, a real challenge. But our environmental response team through building safety are just doing a really great job of cleaning up graffiti around town now. They're addressing that, and Parks and Recreation, they have we got a grant and bought some equipment so that we could take care of that, and everyone's doing a great job of helping. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else for the go to the order?
Yes. I just wanted to say that, we were working on getting the old 4-H building, and we were hoping we had it in April, but Patsy said she'd talked to Lance, and because of the funding that they're having to get the new building made, it may be the end of the year before we get anything done, so. You know a lot more about that than I do, though.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board, Ms. Gates. We've been contacted by Curry County. They're having the same situation with regard to their new building as the city is having with the Hillcrest Senior Center. The cost of construction has just risen exponentially over the last several months, and so it's pushed the opportunity to move into the other building with the museum up. Thank you.
One other thing, Justin or Jason, Justin or Russell, how about the shooting range? What's going on, and how close are we? And
Absolutely. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Elliott, the shooting range, they were supposed to be wrapping up the punch list items this week from Duke City contractors. And once they're finished, we are also now working with Nick Griego to come in and make some additional modifications. We're waiting for the approved PO to come back from that. The Mexico Department of Game and Fish has approved the alterations that we'd like to make. So my understanding is once we get the purchase order back and once Nick Griego can mobilize out there, it'll take them about 2 weeks to complete the revisions to the high and low houses. And once those are done, then our equipment installer will come back out and finish setting up the equipment. And then we could probably go ahead and open up at that point as we construct the additional shade structure that's out at the archery range. There's nothing that would stop us from being able to do that work while we're opening. So hopefully in the next month, say, to start wrapping up that work to where we can get that opened up. But we've got tables and chairs have been ordered and coming in. Kevlar curtains have been coming in. Desks have been coming in. So all of the equipment itself has been coming in. So we're really close.
That's good.
Absolutely.
And the modifications, they're getting that done to where everything will be
correct.
Like it's supposed to be.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well that's great. That's good to hear. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Next meeting, date and time. Next meeting, date and time.
It's supposed to be February 21st. I'm pointing at Jared. It's supposed to be February 21st, but that is President's Day, so we will need to reschedule.
28th?
Okay.
For the 28th?
28th will be good.
Good.
That way, we'll attend one more meeting, Mr. Elliott and myself, because we're out after that. Okay, February.
We're getting pardoned.
You still get to attend the March meeting. The new commissioners don't swear in until April, so.
April?
That's
Oh,
right, so.
Okay, we still got March. Okay. Community Egg Hunt, Saturday, April the 16th, 2022, Guy Leader Complex. Anything on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board, the city's working on the community Easter egg hunt, and I'd just like to reach out to the community, anyone that might be listening. We are looking for funding assistance for that program. We need about $1,200, I think, to meet our goal, and that's to purchase Easter eggs and, of course, put on a really nice event. We've reached out to various businesses in the community that have helped us in the past, but we're still looking for funding. So if anybody would like to contribute, if they could send or contact Vicky at the city manager's office. But if they would like to donate, they need to donate to the Clovis-Carver Chamber of Commerce, because the city cannot accept those funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, Arbor Day, Friday, April the 29th, 2022. Location, TBD.
Yes, so we're...
To be determined.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board, at the last commission meeting, the City Commission approved applying for a UPS tree planting grant. So that has been submitted to UPS, so we are now in the waiting process. So if we did receive that, we would like to do the tree planting on Arbor Day this year. That we thought that might be fun. So we'll let you know when that is.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if we don't receive that, we will still plant a tree on Arbor Day, as we have allocated funds for trees.
Yes.
Okay.
More trees.
Thank you.
More trees. A forest.
Okay. Great American Cleanup, Saturday, May the 7th, 2022, 500 Sycamore.
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board. We would like to encourage the viewing public to participate in the cleanup this year. We've set the date nice and early so folk can make the necessary arrangements to be able to join us for that. And so if you're out there watching this evening or listening, we would like you to contact Mr. Hooper at Parks and Recreation to sign up your team or whoever would like to join in. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Grant updates, Claire Burrows.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Parks Board. So the only really thing I wanted to let you know is that we are still waiting to hear with regard to the federal grant, the Land Water Conservation Fund. We were contacted by Mr. Robert Blankenship about a week ago now, or so, to say that it would be a week before we would know whether or not we were receiving those funds for the Goodwin Trails project, playground equipment, and so on. So we're just waiting to hear finally about that. And the youth summer program is underway. We have a great group of people working together to facilitate that. So we're excited to be getting that going too. And then staff is meeting with me regarding many grants that we are reviewing to see what we can, which grants we can apply for what activities. And then, of course, as you may know, the Commission approved capital outlay applications during this current session for a new roof at Roy Walker Gym and HVAC. So that's ongoing too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anything else? Anything from what? If not, we stand adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. President.